This is exactly what happened to most people playing Five Nights at Freddy's back when this game was first released, and it terrified people. And still to this day it does with its newest releases. Five Nights at Freddy's has been a beloved game franchise since 2014, and it's getting its 10th anniversary in August this year, which is pretty insane to think about. However, the thing that is even more impressive to me is how this game is still relevant and is still releasing some amazing stuff even within the last few years. From AAA releases to a full movie, which actually wasn't half bad, to thousands of fan games that are made daily by passionate fans of the series. FNAF isn't going anywhere soon, and in today's video we're going to discuss exactly why that is. But first, let's talk about how FNAF got its popularity in the first place. Wait, goddammit, wait, what about Freddy? Oh, Five Nights at Freddy's is an indie horror game that released in August of 2014 by a single developer named Scott Cawthon. The reason this game was made was because the last few games that Scott Cawthon made were not met with a whole lot of success. Five Nights at Freddy's was inspired by the fact that in his last game, Tycoon Sons Lumber Co., people complained that his characters look like soulless robotic animals. And this gave Scott Cawthon an idea for a game that could save his whole career. And this game just happened to be Five Nights at Freddy's. Now Scott Cawthon needed a way to fund this game, so he did what many indie developers do and started a Kickstarter. However, Scott didn't even make a single dollar from this Kickstarter, and he was left to make a game from scratch with no funding whatsoever. However, as we all know, he worked hard and with a lot of determination, and he managed to release the original game just titled Five Nights at Freddy's. People loved it.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh, the sounds, I don't like them. Ah, no! I tried to push it!
Alright, we're gonna ignore that happened. The success of the first FNAF was a huge surprise to Scott, and it's probably the thing that ended up saving his whole game development career. One huge reason that helped FNAF gain popularity that it has now is by very popular YouTubers such as Markiplier playing the game, and by showing how unique and terrifying the game was at the time. And the fact that Markiplier saw so many of the secrets in the game definitely helped in showing how mysterious the game's story was.
Okay, I'll leave you to it. See you on the flip side.
Ah, no! Oh god! What the f? Okay? Not okay!
Scott Cawthon didn't just let the hype die down though, so he went straight to work on the next game in the series, releasing it just 3 months after the original game, which took everyone by complete surprise, especially considering that Scott showed a 2015 release date and the game was a complete hit, and was in my opinion, probably the start of the golden era for the original Five Nights at Freddy's series. Scott Cawthon has always released his games early, and in my opinion this was definitely done on purpose, to surprise people and to keep the hype alive, and it's certainly worked as every subsequent FNAF game has had a huge amount of hype surrounding it by the community. Scott Cawthon also made sure to keep releasing FNAF games often, which led to the hype not having time to die down before every release, keeping the fan base excited as often as possible. The fact Scott managed to release 4 separate FNAF games that were all unique and amazing in their own way within the time span of 11 months is just insane, and shows that Scott did everything to keep this series going. And it's not like the games were bad and rushed either. FNAF 1 through 4 were for the most part loved and really hyped up by the community. However, on the 21st of January 2016, Scott Cawthon released the first FNAF game that really divided the community like never before. FNAF World was a huge departure from the original Five Nights at Freddy's formula, as it wasn't a horror game whatsoever. It was actually an RPG fighting game surrounding the FNAF characters from all of the previous games combined, plus a huge ton of new characters too. Now in my opinion this game seems absolutely fine and probably quite an enjoyable game, despite the fact I haven't actually personally played it, so my opinion is going to be a bit biased towards what other people say. However, it did split the community into 2 sides, as many people did not like the new direction of FNAF, whilst others really enjoyed a breath of fresh air from constant similar FNAF releases. However, I think some people may have had a negative output on the game solely because they thought that this was the new direction for FNAF overall, but the fact of the matter is that this was just a break for Scott Cawthon so he could make a new game that he would enjoy making instead of the countless traditional FNAF games, which in my opinion is honestly fair enough. And considering this game was free to play, I really don't understand why some people disliked it so much. I know at first it was supposed to cost money, however Scott Cawthon took this decision back and made it free to play for everyone, but perhaps it was because they thought this was the new direction of FNAF or something like that. However, Scott did prove that this was not the case with the release trailer for his next game, Five Nights at Freddy's Vista Location. Five Nights at Freddy's sister location was a return to form for the FNAF franchise, and it marked the start of the new era for FNAF. By the new era of FNAF, I mean when Scott Cawthon really started making his games with a lot of features that were new for the series. Now this isn't to say that the previous games were of low quality, I'm not implying that whatsoever, but when I say that, I mean this is the start of when Scott Cawthon added like brand new features that weren't seen before. I mean, a few examples could be the addition of voice acting other than Scott Cawthon himself.
I see what you were trying to type, and I will auto-correct it for you. Thank you for selecting Exotic Butters.
Seeing areas outside of the office and being able to move around, and making the lore a lot more hard to keep track of and understand. Now I've already spoke about the history of FNAF a lot in this video, and I'm sure most people watching already know how things go from here on out. To keep things simple, I'll just condense it down to this. Since the location, all of the subsequent Scott Cawthon made FNAF games were a huge success and still kept the community hyped. Now although some people didn't enjoy the new games as much as the original four, they still had a large number of people playing them, and the series was very far from dying. So with all of that in mind, let's get to the second last part of this video and talk about what happened after Scott Cawthon decided that it was time to retire. Scott Cawthon decided that it was time to retire only around half a year before the release of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, and this led to a lot of people thinking the end of FNAF was near. This fear was made a lot worse by the fact that on release, FNAF Security Breach was a very broken game and could barely be played without having tons of glitches occur, and that was only if your computer could run the game to begin with, considering how badly optimized the game was. This, in my opinion, was definitely the worst era of FNAF, and not only did we lose the developer that started all of the FNAF series to begin with, but people were also really starting to question if FNAF was with good hands, considering the developers of FNAF Security Breach Steelwall really weren't able to make a solid FNAF game. I mean, don't get me wrong, people loved the first Five Nights at Freddy's VR that Steelwall made, but people got a bad feeling after Security Breach failed to provide a solid FNAF experience. However, as we all know, Steelwall redeemed themselves by fixing the game and making an amazing DLC for it, also known as Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin, and they also made the amazing experience that FNAF VR 2 was. However, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, and I still haven't gotten onto the point of this video to begin with, so let me be clear. The reason FNAF never died, whilst it was in its roughest periods, is because this franchise has made one of the most passionate and dedicated communities that I have ever seen. From theorists to gameplay channels like myself to game developers, the FNAF community didn't die because people will always love the ideas FNAF started and the universe Scott Cawthon created. Even though official FNAF games may not be released as often anymore, and even though FNAF is no longer in its heyday, there are still thousands of FNAF games being made at all times by passionate fans, and this in my opinion is what's really keeping people invested in the series. And it's not like Scott Cawthon didn't realise this, as he never stopped people from making FNAF fan games, and he even started the FNAF Fanverse initiative, which gives funding to selective indie developers to make super high quality FNAF fan games and to support these developers' dreams of being game developers. I know I'm not the best at these analytic type of videos, but I am someone who grew up seeing FNAF grow and fall and also get right back up again. So I thought I really just need to talk about how crazy it is that a game series that is almost 10 years old is still one of the most popular franchises in existence and probably will be for years or maybe even decades to come. Five Nights at Freddy's can't die because the community won't allow it to, and I think Scott Cawthon should be extremely proud of himself for turning one little indie point and click horror game into the behemoth that it is today, and that is exactly why I think FNAF isn't really going to go anywhere soon, and it's probably going to make some really fun experiences and it's going to introduce loads of new people to the series for a really damn long time. Right then, I hope that video wasn't too cringy. I'm not really used to making analytic type of videos like this, and if you've made it this far into the video, I do just want to say a huge thanks for watching. This is a new style of content for me, and I was definitely really nervous taking on a whole different style of content like this, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did making it. You guys should all feel free to give me any advice on how to improve any videos, or if you want to give me any video ideas, then I'd happily take a look at them ideas and maybe consider doing them if I'm interested. But for now guys, I'm finally going to shut up, as this is the end of the video. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, stay safe out there, and we'll see you guys in the next video.